Got it. We do this annually at this time of year. It is a good kind of inflection point throughout our academic year. We made it. We made it to the end of the semester, and we're looking forward to going into the spring semester. So it's really kind of a good time to step back, reflect, and I encourage you to think about your professional development and what you'll want to pursue in the spring semester and upcoming year. So we are offering this PD week. They're free lunchtime webinars this whole week. And hopefully this is a good time in the semester for you to do this for yourselves. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to be talking about creating a culture of professional development. We thought this would be a good way to kind of kick off our PD week. Love this quote that says, as we look ahead into the next century, and I was just talking about reflecting and looking ahead, leaders will be those who empower others. And that's what we're doing by creating a culture of professional development. I am Lisa Raposo. I am the Executive Director at the Center for Professional Development. Presenting with me today is Carolyn Matisky. Carolyn, do you want to say hi?
Sure. Thanks for welcoming me, Lisa, and including me in today's presentation. I serve as the director for the SAIL Institute. Many of you are likely familiar with what SAIL stands for, but it's the Strategic, Academic, and Innovative Leadership Institute. So we have a wide range of programs, and I'm happy to share our approach to how to share some of these opportunities and encourage professional development at your level at the campus. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. And this topic actually came from an inquiry that Carolyn got to the SAIL Institute. There was a campus looking for assistance, and how do you go about kind of creating that culture and making that cultural change at your institution. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. You know, really, what do we mean by a culture of professional development? Why is it important? Why should we be fostering it and embracing it? We're going to talk about strategies for embedding professional development in your daily work, measuring the impact of those efforts, and then we will be offering you some very practical tools for planning and reflection. But before we get started, I'm just going to ask Allie to push a poll out. I know this is a very broad topic, and Professional Development Week, you know, are very kind of, we try to offer broad topics, you know, that could appeal to people serving in many different roles. So I'm curious to know where we're coming from today. You know, the folks that have joined us today, I'm going to ask Ellie to push the poll out, and just if you could let me know, are you coming from leading an organization or department and you feel like it's your role or position to be creating this culture? Or are you what I call leading from where you are, right? Leading from your position or role. And, you know, how do you promote professional development and embrace your professional development journey? So I'm just wondering, you know, where you're coming from. So let me see. Okay, thank you for answering that. Yeah, great. It looks like most folks are coming from kind of leading from where you are, leading from your role or position. So we'll make sure we address that particular perspective. And we're going to offer some very practical tools that you can take away to help you really think about your professional development. Did you want to share those results, Allie?
Yeah, I think I just shared them. Did they not go out?
Oh, can everyone see them?
One more time.
Great. I'm looking at a different screen here. So anyways,
Yeah, I think I just shared them right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were visible. We saw a pop-up.
Okay.
Great, thank you. So that's helpful. So let me go on to the next slide, and I'm going to turn things over to Carolyn.
All right, thanks, Lisa. So why is professional development so important? I know that in the way we speak about professional development and we hear conversations with people at the campuses about how it is important. And a lot of times we get busy with our jobs, and so that very important thing falls to the wayside. But these statistics should bring your attention to the fact that investing the time and prioritizing professional development is really worth it. It seems counterintuitive that there would be an increase in productivity. You know, professional development pulls people away from their daily job. But in fact, 24% is the percentage of increase in productivity when we offer employees professional development. So maybe that's because they're learning skills about how to be more organized or efficient with the tools they're using. But it is, in fact, true that they will be more productive. And the stat that really jumps out at me is that 58% is the increase in being able to retain our employees. And we know there's a real cost to turnover, to training new people. So we want to be able to keep our talent. And so if we're investing in them and they've learned, all that's important to our organizations thriving, we want to really be focused on ways that we can keep them. And offering professional development opportunities is one of those ways to approach that and really move the needle on retention. 94% of employees say that they would stay longer at their organization if people who are making these decisions about professional development offer them and invest in their career. So it's not just money that's keeping people at their jobs. We know that. And a big part of this is professional development and in that investment, demonstrating an investment in employees in this way. On the flip side, on our next slide here, Lisa, if you can advance, we have some statistics about not investing. And so without that investment, 74%, that's a huge number, are not able to reach their full potential. And so we want to be people who are offering job opportunities and workplace fulfillment for people. And so by offering professional development, we're really able to help contribute to people being the best that they can be. And this is a high number, but that's almost 100% of people are really expecting quite a lot from professionals. They want personalized and relevant training. So not just a one-size-fits-all training, but they want things that are going to really help them in the work that they are doing. So 91% want that personalized touch. And just over half of employees are saying that they need more training in order to improve. And we have to believe that people want to be better than they were yesterday. You know, if we can be 1% better today than we were yesterday, we're really making a difference. So with 55% of people saying that they need that training in order to improve, we want to be able to do that and offer that. Thank you. All right. So we want to hear from you. I put in the chat that we love to see your engagement. Thanks for answering our first poll. We want you to use the chat now to answer this question. We're going to go back 2 slides and have you all answer. How would you describe, we're using the chat, right, Lisa? I think we had it on the seashell.
It's okay. We're actually doing the word cloud.
Okay. All right. So if you have your smartphone, you can take a picture of the QR code there, and I'm going to do it myself. So we can all be in this together here. But how would you describe a culture of professional development? You can use 1, 2 words or a short phrase, but what does that look like to you? How would you put words together to describe a culture of professional development? Hopefully you work in one now. Maybe you can think back to an organization in the past, but or maybe you see some other organizations that you are associated with and they're really doing this well. So what does that look like? Oh, I love this. So we could see the data flooding right in. Thanks for your participation. To me, I think a culture of professional development, I see safety because people are willing to stretch and learn things that they're not already doing. And so that does take some vulnerability to want to be better and to put yourself out there. So that does take some, a culture of safety to me. Support, growth, engagement, learning, inclusive. These are great. And I love the colors.
The big ones there are collaborative, growth, and supportive.
Yeah, so if we see it come in multiple times, you'll see the words a little bit larger, but obviously these are all words that describe cultures that are desirable, and you know, these are the places people want to stay. And so it makes sense that creating this culture, whatever you can do to influence the culture in this way, is one that will create a place where people are productive, they want to stay, and they're reaching their full potential. How do we actually define a culture of professional development? I don't typically read slides, but I will read our definition. An environment where continuous learning, skill enhancement, and personal growth are prioritized, supported, and embedded into the organization's values and practices. And so we're all trying to achieve that, and we're making the case to you today, and we'll also you know, move on with our agenda and give you some practical things to consider in order to enhance what you're already doing and to make it even better in the year ahead. So we're going to transition to some characteristics of what this looks like. Take it away, Lisa.
Thanks. So we'll hit upon a lot of the words that you put in the word cloud, but this is our kind of formal definition of a professional development culture and what are the characteristics that are exhibited in those cultures. So really there is a commitment from leadership. Leaders are actually promoting professional development and modeling a growth mindset and really encouraging employees to pursue new knowledge and skills. Employee empowerment. And employees are provided with opportunities for training and mentorship and really focus on how they can advance within their careers. Provides learning opportunities. So this is really organizations that budget for professional development, you know, look at investing a particular amount in each of their employees to provide workshops, courses, certifications. This culture also has facilitates feedback and recognition. So really constructive feedback, celebration of one another. If you've pursued a course or a certificate, you know, really recognizing if that's from the top down recognition, or really celebrating your peers or colleagues who are pursuing professional development. Strategic alignment. So making sure that professional development opportunities are aligned with the organization's goals. So not only are you advancing personally, but you're also advancing the strategic priorities for your organization. And flexibility and access. When we talk about professional development, you know, one of the challenges is people say, I don't have time, right? So flexibility and access is really allowing yourself time, creating that intentional time frame within your own personal calendar, or if you're leading and it's your job to facilitate professional development culture, and really giving your employees the time to pursue that, and you know, being flexible about your staff pursuing professional development, taking courses, and really kind of being away in order to do that. So why foster professional development culture? Carolyn did go over a lot of very pertinent statistics, such as employee retention, increased engagement and motivation, improved productivity and performance, she had mentioned, and also creating a stronger leadership pipeline. So as you're advancing and looking out for your employees or advancing within your particular professional journey, you know, we are creating that pipeline of leadership. These cultures are better able to adapt to change and embrace more innovation and creativity. So because the culture is a learning culture, you know that you're better able to pivot and be agile and learn within your particular context. More reasons to foster a PD culture. I did mention the creativity, better alignment with your organizational goals. It boosts morale, boosts your personal morale. You're more excited about work as you're learning new things and feeling more capable within your position. So improved job satisfaction and productivity, and really ultimately being a more competitive organization and more productive. So I am going to turn things over and introduce to you Yolanda Caldwell. Yolanda is the Director of Inclusive Leadership and Organizational Development at SUNY System Administration. She is new within our organization. And Yolanda, how long have you been part of SUNY System now?
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me this afternoon. I've been with SUNY since February.
Since February, okay, so we'll be coming up on a year. So part of Yolanda's role is to really create this culture for the staff working at SUNY System Administration. So when Carolyn and I were thinking about this presentation, we're like, Yolanda is doing this right now. So we wanted to get Yolanda's perspective on this topic. So whether you're a leader of organizations or people, or whether you're just facilitating your own professional development journey, we can all approach professional development from where we sit. So Yolanda, I will turn things over to you.
Thank you again. Thank you, Lisa and Carolyn, for sharing some valuable information about the importance of a culture of professional development. Before we dive in a little deeper, there are a couple of things that I want to acknowledge. And there's something really, really powerful about professional and personal development. And that is that it's not one size fits all. Every person on this call and colleagues that you work with, each of you bring a different, unique strength, perspective, and goals to the table. And you'll also have a different approach to your growth and the actions that you're going to take for your development. So whether you're an individual who thrives on results, you focus on relationships, you like details, you want to dive into data, or you embrace collaboration, you still have room to grow. You also have what it takes for this road trip. So road trips have been a very integral part of my life because for many years, I've lived at least 3 hours away from my family. And my father had this tradition that before you could actually take the driver's test to get your license, you had to drive a road trip for at least 2 hours. He wanted us to understand like the rules of the road, and that included the rules of the road on a highway. He understood that it took different skills to drive the distance on a highway versus short local driving. So this also played into our passenger experience. Many years, you were the passenger in the car, and it's very different when you're the driver. So your role in your personal development as a passenger or a driver will give you a different perspective. So let's take a moment and get your current perspective about your career path and your growth. Allie, can you do the next? So if you could take a moment and respond to this poll question, what statement best describes who is responsible for your career? Is your leadership team completely responsible, somewhat responsible, Are you somewhat responsible or are you completely responsible? So we'll take a moment. Okay. We see the 4s coming in, some 2s and 3s. Okay. Thank you for, yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for responding. I like Peter. Peter went with the 3.5. He was like, I'm going to make my own number. I love it. So we've gotten some feedback, and one observation I can have is that there are no 1s. We have some 2s, we have 3s, we have 4s. I'm going to make a guess that we probably have more 4s or 3s and 4s are probably equal in the chat, but we don't have any 1s. And one of the things that I want to share with you about that is your perspective. Your mindset going into professional development plays a very, very big role in the results that you'll receive. Next slide, please. So there is a concept called and you can stop right there. It's automatic. Oh, just wait, don't, is the locus of control. And the locus of control is the extent to which you feel you have control over the events that impact your life. So it's the belief of whether the outcomes of your actions are contingent on what you do, which is an internal locus of control, or the events outside your personal control, which is an external locus of control. And it's important to note that that locus of control is a continuum. So as some of you have placed, some of you are 2s, some of you are 3s, it's a continuum. It changes based on where you are in your career and at that time. So what we're going to do now is just talk a little bit about the actions that we take depending on our locus of control. So as you can see, this is a more likely to. So if you have an external locus of control, if you were on those lower numbers, 1s or 2s, these are some things that more than likely you will hear yourself say or think. So we can go forward. So 1, blame outside forces for your circumstances. So an external focus of control may sound something like, I can't take this particular professional development, and the reason is because of something outside of your control. The next one. You credit your success to luck or chance. The next one. You can feel hopeless or powerless in the face of challenges. So you're looking to do something and you're trying to make it happen, but you begin to feel, or you communicate that you don't have the power to do anything. That's an external locus of control. Next. And you are prone to experience what's called learned helplessness. And we're just going to run through these really quick because they happen because you're consistently possibly in an environment that does not have a culture of professional development. So sometimes you can, when you see yourself exhibiting any of these behaviors, take a moment and think, particularly around your professional development, take a moment and think about who you're giving credit to for what your perspective is about who's in control. So sometimes if you're avoiding a decision or you're giving up too quickly, maybe a lack of effort or low motivation, it could be that you believe someone else has the power and control to make a difference. So you may not push and look and seek opportunities for professional development because you really believe that you don't have an impact in making a difference in the decisions and how you will grow professionally. And then on the other side of the continuum, where you have your 3s and your 4s, it's called, and you go to the next slide, the internal locus of control. And when you operate with a 3 or a 4 perspective or an internal locus of control, there are some things that you're more likely to do. Next, take responsibility for your actions. So you will attend a session like this, because you want to learn about opportunities for professional development. Next. You'll have a strong sense of self-efficacy. You will advocate for yourself. You will have information about what's necessary to move you along your career path and your own personal or professional development. Next. You'll feel confident in the face of challenges. Even when you hear a no, it won't stop you in your tracks. You'll try to find a way to make it happen. Next. And you tend to work hard to achieve what it is that you want. So as you are continuing to participate in today's session and the other sessions during this week, you'll operate primarily from an internal locus of control. You have the ability to decide that you're going to attend these sessions. You're going to show up. You're going to be a part of it. You're going to look for ways to make a difference in how you show up for your professional development. So it's important that as you go through this process, remember that it's a continuum, that there are going to be times when external control is something that's influencing the way that you show up. And you then have the opportunity and the choice to look at things a little differently. You're on a continuum, you're on a path, you're on a journey. So I encourage you to find partners for your career road trip and look for the capacity to impact your journey and the culture of your organization by leading from where you are. So I just reviewed some mindset things about professional development and about your professional journey. And you're going to hear more about the tools that can assist you on this journey. So thank you, Lisa, for the opportunity to share these insights to increase the team's capacity to have a culture for professional development.
Thank you, Yolanda. So that is that mindset is really important from you're talking about kind of leading from where you are. If you feel like you're responsible for facilitating a culture of professional development, you manage a group. I talked about aligning your professional development strategy with your organizational strategy. So if you have your strategic plan for your organization, your goals and objectives, take a look at what skills and competencies you have on your team. Identify those competencies needed to achieve those strategic objectives. And you would be putting together a professional development for to align your staff skills to meet that. You can also integrate professional development goals into performance plans. So I know that UUP has a particular part in their evaluation that is looking at how you're pursuing your continuing education. You look at specific roles within your organization, design learning paths for those roles that will help meet the strategic priorities that you've identified in your plan. You can focus on cross-functional learning. So to be an agile organization and be able to move and shift to meet your strategic priorities, you can facilitate collaboration and cross-functional learning within your departments and really engage your staff in the strategic planning process. So they are seeing where the organization is going, what new things are coming down the pike, how they should be enhancing or upskilling their role, and to help them have that professional development mindset. Embed professional development into your daily work. So really identify professional development as one of your core values. Talk about it, share that, have it posted within your organization. Encourage sharing among team members. So when you're holding a team meeting, to have team members, when they do pursue professional development, share with one another what they have learned. If team members go away to a conference or a workshop or are taking a certificate, have them come back and teach one another about that. So it's really kind of promoting that professional development mindset. Recognize and reward efforts. So really celebrate the achievements. If your staff has, one of your staff members has earned a certificate or pursued a professional development, make sure that gets recognized and celebrated and applauded. And if you are from that position of kind of leading from where you are, making sure you acknowledge and recognize your colleagues' pursuit of professional development opportunities, and really encouraging a growth mindset in our daily work. So I'm going to turn things over to Carolyn, and she'll talk about what we mean when we say growth mindset.
Thank you, Lisa. And if anyone in our audience has been in one of the SAIL programs within the past couple of years, you're likely to have seen this slide. This is one that we rely on to really open people up to this idea of a growth mindset. So this is coming from the work of Carol Dweck. And there is a lot that she has written about this. Really, it comes down to accepting that it's the original thinking was this fixed mindset that people are born with a certain level of intelligence, and that is innate and it's fixed at birth. And she really wrote a lot and studied a lot to challenge this. And so she argues, and has a lot to support it, that we develop our intelligence through our efforts, our strategies, and with help from others. So we are trying to open people up, as I said, to the fact that just because you're not doing something that the way you need to or want to, doesn't mean that that's the buck stops there. There is room for you to grow, and we want you to be open to that growth. You don't have to accept the way things are. You can continue to develop even into your, later years, and you feel like things are just sort of the way they are. So the more you can be open to this growth mindset, the better you're positioning yourself to be able to reach new levels of productivity, of achievement that maybe you didn't think that you could. And so maybe you weren't given those messages as a child, but there is a support for this thinking that you still have room to grow and there's more potential for you. You want to advance the slide? Thank you. All right. So to make this even more practical, we put together a slide to give you ideas, like sort of a menu of professional development. We also had in the chat the link to the CPD calendar. So that is being updated all the time with opportunities that are coming out from the CPD. So we encourage you to bookmark that page, save it for yourself, share it with your team, but be looking for opportunities to continue your own development and development of your team. So here's lots of ideas. Maybe you've done some of these things in your own groups. You could seek out some more communities of practice. We've got lots that we facilitate at the CPD. If you aren't submitting regularly for conferences, or if you have never done that before, we challenge you. Think about what you can offer to a larger audience of people and challenge yourself to be speaking publicly. I like to say if you can add 3 opportunities to speak publicly about your work or something that you have to offer in a professional space, you're setting yourself up for success, especially if you have a goal of being a leader, because we know there's a connection between public speaking and the perception of leaders. So we want you to be submitting your good ideas. There's lots of SUNY conferences that come up regularly. And again, you'll find those on our website. We have another slide coming up that sort of summarizes all of those online learning platforms. You may have access to some of these right now and not be aware of it. You may think of it just as that required compliance training that you have to do, but there are a lot of other resources there. So when you think about where you want to grow, maybe a project that you've been assigned to or that you'd like to raise your hand for, and you know, well, I'm really going to need to have this skill like Excel or project management. There may be some skill that you feel is holding you back. And we just want to give you ideas of how you can get there. So this is just a way to sort of get you thinking about different opportunities that you could be pursuing so that you can reach there. And I can't stress enough the importance of mentors. So we've got that as one of our final bullets on here, but it really should be number one because we know that mentors really make a difference in the development of people. So don't wait for a formalized program to come across your inbox. Look at who's around you and who inspires you. And I encourage you to be brave and ask them to go have a coffee or have lunch or just join a meeting that they're going to be presenting at so that you have a seat to learn. You'll really find it surprising how willing and eager people are to support others, especially if you're complimenting them and saying, I'd love to be able to learn from you. There really are opportunities out there that cost nothing. There are some other tools that do have a price tag, and so some of these may look familiar to you. Part of SAIL typically offers at least one of these assessment tools. This is really because leaders have to have a very clear understanding of themselves. And so this gives them data, not only how they think about themselves, but really where they fall in some of these workplace style assessments. So DISC is one that we use commonly. We use a very specialized version, an enhanced version of that report that it connects the workplace style to leadership traits and best practices in leadership. So it's a wonderful tool that I'm certified to use, and you'll see it in a lot of SAIL offerings. SUNY also has a customized 360. And I know a lot of people, when they think 360, they think a traditional HR 360, where it's connected to your past period of performance and tied to maybe a raise or promotion. But this SUNY 360 that we use at SAIL is a leadership skills inventory. And so it gives that person who's looking to enhance their leadership ability that clear perspective of how they see themselves as a leader and how all of the other people that they're operating with, their manager, their direct reports, their colleagues, their outside connections, how all of those people together create that picture of how they're performing and how others are seeing them as a leader. Another one that we've used at the internal CPD team, which was really fun to use and informative, was the Clifton Strengths Finder tool. And so that comes out of Gallup. And it's a very inexpensive book. If this is something that you want to grab, if you have a small enough team, you can buy the book and it comes with the free assessment right on the heart. You've got to buy the new one, but you get a free assessment with that too. And it's wonderful. I've used that for many, many years and have even had book clubs around that. So these are pretty accessible and just other tools that you might want to consider as you're looking to develop and create that culture. I'm going to pass it over to Lisa. You have a little bit more experience on some of these platforms. The one that I'm most familiar with is BizLibrary. And that's why I say you may not even know that it's called BizLibrary because at SUNY System, we call it iLearn at SUNY. And that's where you go to get your compliance requirement met. But there is a lot more in there. And so Lisa's going to share a little bit more about some of the other learning platforms at SUNY.
We do have some learning platforms available to you at no cost. Well, there is a cost to SUNY. So SUNY has facilitated agreements with these vendors. And so you're able to take advantage of the learning offered in these platforms for free. So the first one I'll mention is Lumen Learning. These are reflective practice circles, and they are facilitated around a particular topic. The latest one is AI prompt engineering. But they also have learning circles around active learning, belonging, and creating inclusive learning environments, course design for student success. That's another one of those reflective practice circles. So I encourage you to go to this link and find out more information about Lumen Learning. Another agreement that we have in place is with Coursera. Again, I have the link there. Coursera is an online learning platform that offers degrees and other credentials from universities and companies. You can take courses. You can actually get certifications in Coursera, and there's even master's track certificates. So again, we have that partnership with Coursera. So go ahead and take a look at that catalog, which can be found at the link we have here on the slide. And then also we have DeCue University, which has just been renewed for another year. So all of SUNY faculty and staff have access to these offerings, and they're focused around accessibility and providing services to people with disabilities. So there's things in there about web accessibility, and document accessibility, making PowerPoints accessible and PDFs. So those are a really good suite of offerings that are you're able to take advantage of for free. I'm going to turn things over to Carolyn.
Thanks, Lisa. And so we can put forth a great effort, our heart can be in it, but how do we know if we're successful, right? It's really important to especially demonstrate to leaders who we've just asked to open the checkbook essentially and prioritize it in the budget. How do we know if we're moving the needle or just doing something that feels good or seems right? We should be measuring, these things. How long are people staying? Are people actually staying and finding it valuable to work, and they're clicking along and looking forward to a few more years in the job? How do we find that out? We ask them. We can take them off site for a retreat. We can take the temperature of the room. We could do it in a more formalized survey. At SAIL, we ask people questions before they begin a leadership program and at the end of the semester about their mindset and their confidence levels to perform in those leadership roles. And so that's one way that we can look at our data and see how we've done. If you're a manager, looking at productivity levels, are the goals that you're setting forward being met? Are deadlines being hit? Have project goals, are you launching on time? And does your team, when you look at them, do they have the skill sets that you need on the team in order to meet those strategic goals that are being set above you? So we want to look at, is there an increase in productivity? Are those project timelines, are they being adhered to? You're able to meet those goals? That's a sign that you can say your professional development investments are working and that you have a return on your investment. I think we have one. So we put up this SUNY map to give you a sense of how big we are. We appreciate that you let us know where you're logging in from today. SUNY is a big place. We've got 64 campuses all across the state. Our CPD team has been on the road over these past few months, visiting as many of them as we can. It's been wonderful to connect with all of you in person. And one takeaway from those tours that connects to today's presentation is how each of you are doing things a little bit differently, and that's okay. We are trying to share some of those practices, things that really work and resonate, so that you all can learn from each other. And so connecting the dots about how professional development opportunities are being communicated, prioritized. And so we really aim to be that hub for you to find the opportunities and communicate them and make sure that employees are taking advantage of the money that's already been set aside for their growth. And so just because maybe you're new to a role as a sort of CPD points liaison doesn't mean that you're out there floundering alone, in your campus location. please work with us and ask the good question. You're here today. We've got opportunities throughout the week with Professional Development Week. We really want you to be a part of this professional development culture here at Bigger SUNY, and let you know that we have communities of practice for you to join and resources for you to share and to encourage at your campus. I think we have one more engagement opportunity for you. This is a question I pushed to have included here. I want to hear your celebrations. Like, what was the most impactful professional development opportunity in your career? I can share that I don't always have the budget money to be able to go to a national conference, but there was 6 years ago, I think it was, they had a really big, I think it was the 75th anniversary of the Association for Talent Development. They had their biggest conference in their history, and it was in San Diego. And I know this sounds like a brag, and I guess it is, but Obama, former President Obama was the keynote speaker, and I will always have that memory with me. And I learned so much. I mean, it was 3 days, but I still look at the notes and had sessions with my ATD colleagues to make sure that we all shared the resources. So some of these things can be really big and costly and time consuming, but they do make a big impact. They really sit with people for a long time, and those rewards keep on coming. So Lisa gave lots of suggestions about how to, and I'm not seeing any chats flood in, so I just want to encourage you to put in the chat there what's been the most impactful for you. Maybe it wasn't a conference, maybe it was a podcast that you just adore. But what is it? And we just want to create this environment to share and celebrate some of those investments in you. You're really going to see great mentors, see how important these things are, and they don't have to cost money. Mindful leadership, woo! Some of the feedback we've gotten about that program has been that it's life-changing. And so that really warms my heart that we're able to offer that consistently semester after semester. So we just have one more slide, Lisa, that we want to put up on the screen after this. Okay. These are great. Thank you so much for sharing. We have about 12 more minutes left together, and we are going to highlight for you some additional resources. So we're not going to do this together today, but you do have some more time. And this is Professional Development Week, so I encourage you before you clock out for today, if you could open some of these files that we're going to be putting in the chat here. We're going to share these resources with you. The first one is the Professional Development Planning Template. And so this is something that SAIL uses at the end of our sessions for people to really be specific about what it is they want to achieve. These are also great discussion starters with your team. So if you are a manager and you have someone reporting to you or a team of people, and you want to understand what it is their career goal is, their goal in the next year, just to open that dialogue. It's really basic, but it shows that you care, and it starts the dialogue, which is the most important thing. It's a bit specific in that it asks you your goals 30 days out, 1 year out, 2 year out. You can customize this. We're sharing the Word version, so you can make this your own. But that's something that we encourage you to use not only for yourself, but before you're meeting with anyone that reports to you, to really get a sense of where they want to be and how you can support them in that. The second resource is the Wheel of Professional Life. And so this is just a way for you to start to think about the different categories of your professional life. So pretty self-explanatory, a 10 being the highest level of satisfaction and a 1 the lowest. Giving this to your team to get a sense of where they are. You know, how are they doing today? How are they checking in? There are lots of different options for you to be able to use this with your team. So hopefully these tools, one or both of them, you'll find useful, and we encourage you to use those. We will work on the access permission. and we will make sure that you get those. There was also interest in some of the links on um, the Lumen circles and the active links that we had in the slides. So we should be able to get the full deck to people so that they can access all of those.
Absolutely. And if any CPD staff are on, if you can get to those links for the Lumen Circles or Coursera, any of those, if you could go ahead and put those in the chat area for people to click on. We have used the Wheel of Professional Life within our own organization, and gave people a chance to think about each of these categories and maybe identify one or two that they would like to work on. Maybe they scored lower as they reflected. And so they're not going to be 10s in all of these, but what do they want to work on in the next, for the remainder of the academic year? And where does professional development fit into that? Carolyn mentioned mindful leadership, the certificate. Maybe that's something that could help move the dial on the health and wellness piece of this pie. Maybe relationships and networking. There's professional development opportunities to join communities of practice, take different leadership courses to help improve your relationships and networking. That maybe professional development is a way that you can move the dial on that. So let's see, did we have anything else? This was from you, Carolyn, just kind of looking at what professional development are you looking forward to in the next year? If you go ahead and put that in the chat. And just to encourage people to visit the Center for Professional Development website and take a look at all the offerings there. Maybe that'll help spur some ideas as well.
Yeah, I think what Lisa sometimes appreciates about me is that I always put a call to action into the presentations. And so here we are. Your call to action is to use what you've heard today. We threw a lot at you, but really use this time now to reflect about where you want to be in the next year. And so it could be, I've got a bookshelf full of books that inspire me every day and I walk past them. Pull off the two that are really calling to you that you want to read in the next year. Are you going? Oh, I think we've got somebody off there.
It's probably on the website.
I'll unmute myself there. But we really want to use our time together. You've carved out today in Professional Development Week to think about professional development, how it's something that you want to encourage. And by you demonstrating that you've prioritized it for yourself, that's the best way to encourage it with your team. And so use that template if you'd like, or a Post-it. It could be as informal as that. I may pull off a book today. I know there's lots of podcasts that I've got subscribed, but it's a matter of just putting it in the chat right now. What is it that you want to accomplish in terms of your own personal professional development? Just to sort of move it from professional development is important and I should do that to this is something I will do. So we're trying to get you to move to action here and put it out there in the space to hold each other accountable, hold yourself accountable. And I know we've got some access issues with some of the files, but we promise you that we will share everything that we've shared today. You'll have all of the links, you'll have all of the resources, and we appreciate your time today. I think that was our last engagement, and I don't see much in the terms of commitment. So I'm going to be looking there in the next 5 minutes before we wrap up to see what it is you're committing to. And I'm going to pass it over to my colleague at the CPD. We've got Courtney, who's going to share what other free opportunities are coming up this week from the CPD.
Yeah, hi, my name is Courtney. I handle all of the community engagement at the CPD. Just want to kind of go over the rest of the week. A lot of exciting sessions coming up. Tomorrow, Alex Pickett from SUNY Online. She's leading a discussion on Copilot, which is Microsoft's built-in AI. On Wednesday, we'll hear from Marianne Stark. She's a senior employee and organizational development strategist at SUNY Upstate. She'll actually be talking about assessing and changing workplace culture. On Thursday, if you use or are interested in using Microsoft Teams calling, a session on tips and tricks. That session will be presented by a tech specialist right at Microsoft. Her name is Jessie Ward. And then wrapping up the week on Friday, presented by another member of the CPD, Megan Martin. She'll actually be focusing on accessibility. So Meg recently earned her CPAC certification and will be sharing tips and guidelines on how we can make content more accessible. Registration is still open for the rest of the week if you did not get the chance to do so. Allie and I can put the link right in the chat here. So that's about it. We hope you'll join us. Lisa, did you guys have anything else?
Not from us. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you at the other sessions coming up this week.
Yep, and thanks to everyone who's flooding us with their commitments for professional development. See, I even did it myself, so you gotta walk the talk. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Yolanda. Thanks, Carolyn.
Thank you. This was a great session.
We hope to see folks at the other